Hey everyone, Dev with Crime Hive, and we are doing a video on the search for missing 18-year-old Amish teen Linda Stoltzfoos. Now, there's been more awareness in this case as they continue to search and try to find her. She's still missing to this day. You're looking at a picture of her right here. And then this man, Justo Smoker, was arrested in connection to her disappearance. And we're going to talk about the details in that arrest and the information that law enforcement has that gave them that probable cause to make an arrest. Now, again, before I get into this is Dev with Crime Hive. If you like these kind of true crime videos, just be sure to subscribe and then make sure to hit the bell notification to receive updates on this case and other cases that I am following here.
Crime Hive. Crime Hive. True crime buzz.
Okay, so let's get started in this case here. So you got 32-year-old Justo Smoker. Now, what we've learned, a couple updates. He actually has pled not guilty recently in this case. So right here, just learned this is just a couple days ago from this video that I'm filming. So he is suspected of kidnapping Linda, and he's pled not guilty in this case, so it will go to trial. Now, the search is continuing for her. They've pinpointed different search areas, and I'm going to talk more about that as we go through, though. But I really want to cover the affidavit here so you guys can really get an understanding of why law enforcement made an arrest. Okay, so you've got Justo here. I'm looking at the arrest affidavit here, and what you're looking at here, they've got his vehicle, which will come into play. He's got a Kia Rio. It's the red Kia Rio. There's the license plate right here. Also, registered owner of that. That's really important as well. Now, as we go through here, we've got the detective that has put these charges forward. We're looking at kidnapping F1. F1 being there's different levels of felony, F1, F2, F3. This particular case is an F1, which is the most severe of the felony category, if you will. So this is the Pennsylvania code right there. And just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, there, according to this definition in this area in Pennsylvania, they're saying that the defendant, Justo, did unlawfully remove Linda Stoltzfoos a substantial distance under the circumstances from the place where she was taken with intent to inflict bodily injury on or to terrorize the victim or another. And then that's the code right there for it. So they also added false imprisonment, which is just a lesser category to kidnapping. But they do tend to add those additional charges when they're charging somebody. And they're continuing to build this case. Again, they're still really trying to locate Linda. And we've got some very disturbing information in this case here. So you've got Detective Christopher Jones going through this affidavit, gives all his information, his training, knowledge. That's important when someone's writing these. Now, it really begins here on June 22nd, 2020. And this was early in the morning, 02:23 hours. That's 2:23 a.m. You've got an officer from East Lampeter Township that is responding to the Stoltzfoos residence, okay? And this is important too. This address at 519 Beechdale Road in the city is Bird in Hand, Pennsylvania. Okay, so they get called out there for a missing person, and the officer speaks with Lloyd Stoltzfoos, who is the father of 18-year-old Linda Stoltzfoos. He goes on to say that Linda had not returned home from her youth group that she was supposed to attend. And then he starts to explain what had happened. So you've got his daughter was supposed to go to this youth group on June 21st, 2020. Okay, so that's really when she went missing, was June 21st, 2020, not too long ago. She never made it to the youth group, right? So we're continuing through. Linda apparently was supposed to walk home after church. She had gone to a church service, and she was going to change her clothing. She never made it home to change her clothes and go to this church group. All right. So they checked her room. They didn't see any church clothing. They didn't see any sign that she had made it back. So they believed that Linda never made it back home after church. Continuing through, they learned that the church service took place at 2659 Stumptown Road. All right, and I'm gonna show that address here in a little bit because that's really important. And the service went from about 0900 hours, which is 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Now, they're saying that she would have walked back to the family farm. This is an Amish woman, Amish community, very tight knit community here. So we'll talk about how that comes into play in some of this evidence that was gathered. Now, part of this investigation, they start at the church, right? So they go and speak with Lillian Ebersole, all right? And she was at the church service with Linda, so she's a confirmed witness to seeing Linda there. She spoke with Linda after the church service. Linda apparently had helped with some dishes. Then they go out in the barn. Linda's saying she's going to go home. And then what happens is Linda relayed that she was going to change her clothes as well. And Lillian remembers seeing Linda carrying her shoes in her hand, walking away barefoot. So she was walking, no vehicle, no other means of transportation, and that was the last time that she was observed. Now, she says that that Linda left about 12:30, 12:30 and 1300 hours, which is 1 p.m. So within that short range there, about 12:30 to 1 p.m. And this is important too because Lillian reports that Linda had a great conversation with her. She appeared to be fine. She described her as a content person, happy with her lifestyle. The reason that's important is to understand the potential the potential mindset of Linda. You know, was she having some mental health issues? Was she, talking about running away? Was she, having some sort of issue in life and stressing those issues with, talking to people about that? And that didn't seem to be the case. She seemed to be in good spirit, happy, no sign that something troubling was going on in her life. So they learned that, right? Now, she typically walks on the road. And so detectives this is old-fashioned detective work here. We're going to also incorporate some technology that's in play here. But they literally start from the beginning, and you start to see how this case develops in how an arrest was actually made. So really important information. They learned that Linda typically walks on the road, so she takes a particular path. She was not known to take any sort of shortcuts, especially in the area that she would be walking in there, because she's in church clothes, formal church clothes. So they're setting up this scene, saying, okay, it's not likely she would have tried to take a different path that day. She would have gone, and here's where I will start to show you this path, just to get an idea. So you've got her address here at the Beachdale Road address. It's not far. It's about, it's only a 2-mile drive, but it's about a 19-minute walk if you're walking to the church. And this is the path she would always take, apparently. Beachdale Road, Stumptown Road. These two roads are very important in this investigation, as we'll learn with evidence, surveillance video, that sort of stuff we're going to talk about in depth. So she apparently would have began walking this direction back home, and then she would have turned onto Beachdale Road. And she wouldn't have tried to cut through any weird areas like through here or taken a different path around. It would have just been this direct path, this primary path that she would have taken. So that's what we're looking at in this. Now, so they then learn, as part of this investigation, they then start to interview friends of Linda. So they interview Anna Beeler, Anna Stoltzfoos, and then also Kate King, who are all good friends, right? So they also report that Linda was acting normal. Okay, she was going to go to this group youth on Sunday. She had talked about it, and she never showed up. So they thought she might be sick, and they were kind of worried. Maybe she just didn't show up because she was sick, but she didn't tell anyone. She just would never go away without telling anyone. And that's what they were reporting. So again, you're getting more people, more of her friends, saying that it's just odd that she wouldn't say anything to anybody. She wouldn't just go off on her own. She wasn't that type of person. She would let people know. So detectives continue to dig throughout this investigation, and they search the bedroom of Linda. That's, they're looking to see, is there some sort of foul play involved here? They don't find anything out of place. It appears neat and organized in her room. Now, just on a side note, with them searching the bedroom, what's interesting in a lot of just traditional missing person cases with younger children, a lot of times law enforcement will search the house and find the individual missing. Now these are cases where there wasn't foul play, but a lot of cases that law enforcement get called out to, the parents can't find the children, young children, and they end up they're hiding in the house or they're hiding nearby. It happens quite often. In this case, Linda, 18 years old, she's not hiding in her house. They're looking through the home, they're not finding anything that would point to foul play or that she experienced some sort of trauma, anything like that. So we continue through, and they start to dig into Linda's her life, as far as what she likes to do. She apparently would tutor students in the Amish community with learning disorders, and she was employed, and people were just saying she had no reason to leave unexpectedly. Now, through the investigation, they start to look at the road that she took, and she went missing between 12:30 and 13:10 hours on that Sunday, June 21st, which was Father's Day as well, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at on that date. Now, on 6/29, okay, this is 8 days later, the detective then speaks with Sarah Stoltzfoos. Now, different spelling on that name, okay, and then also her husband, Isaac Stoltzfoos. Really interesting here because they're also members of the Amish community and faith, and they are very familiar with the traditions and culture in the Amish community. So this is what they observed. They actually said that they were walking on Amish Road in Gap, Pennsylvania, and the area of Buena Vista Road in Gap, Pennsylvania. And I'll show where that's at on a map as well. This was about 13:30 hours, 1:30 p.m. They observe a red or orange four-door vehicle traveling north on Amish Road. This is where it gets interesting here. Sarah, very observant, she observes an Amish female in the front passenger seat of the vehicle. Now, she noticed that Linda was wearing a white apron and a black head covering. Okay, and that's really important here, and I'll explain why. Then she says that she waved to the Amish female who did not wave back. Okay, why is that important? Here's what we learned. In the Amish church in that area, it was not known for anyone in that community to wear black head coverings. So she thought that was odd because a woman is in a different area of the Amish community. She then noted that it was highly unusual that she was riding in a vehicle wearing her church clothing. That's just really odd in that community. That sticks out. That doesn't typically happen, right? So she then noted that she didn't wave back. Linda did not wave back, which is an Amish tradition. So immediately she's got these spidey senses going on. She's thinking, this is odd, this is unusual. And that's probably part of the reason she was able to remember this event so well and describe this to investigators, because all these little things stuck out. I don't know if you guys have read the book, The Gift of Fear. Really interesting book. Talks about this thing, talks about those spidey senses, that gut feeling you have when you encounter some strange circumstance or situation, and to trust those instincts. Really good book. Anyway, as we go through here, we then learned from Isaac, the husband of Sarah, who was with Sarah when she had observed this information, and he observed the driver of the vehicle. Okay, this is where we get a description of the possible suspect in this case. He described him as a white male with dark hair and a dark beard or mustache. So that's kind of the first report of possible suspect or a lead in this case, right? So same day on June 29th, detectives then speak to Gideon King III, who is also a member of the Amish community. He reported on 6/21/2020 that between 12:15 hours and 13:30 hours, he was traveling in his horse and carriage. Okay, he's on Amish Road, 3/4 mile north of SR 897. So it's an area that is approximately 1 mile from the area described by the Stoltzfooses, right? Now, while traveling, he also observes a red four-door vehicle traveling in that area. He noticed this was strange to him as well, because the female should not have been traveling in a vehicle wearing her church clothing. That just wasn't something that Amish women would do, or in that community. The females did not wear black head coverings to church in that area. So he also notes that. He never knew Sarah Stoltzfoos, and he wasn't aware of anyone else that had reported seeing the vehicle. So this is his own account. This is a different witness, didn't know any other information about this case, so giving another fresh perspective on what he observed at this time. Okay, so they're building upon that evidence, right? Now, 7/8/2020, so this is July 8th, right? Now at 12:08 hours. Then they interview a man named Isaac Esch at his residence. And he says that also on June 21st, between 12:30 hours and 12:45 hours, he was sitting on his front porch of his residence. And he was just watching traffic. He says he also sees a red sedan. So we're seeing a pattern here, right? This red sedan is in that area. And it's just kind of created some odd thoughts with the Amish community as they're seeing some of these things unfold that day. He sees the vehicle turn around on red lane. It's pausing. He's just kind of like, what is this vehicle up to? And then he sees it heading towards the area of Linda's church. Okay. He described the driver as a white male with dark hair and darker skin, which made him believe that the driver was possibly Hispanic. Said that there was only one occupant in the vehicle, and that it passed him both times as he saw it on Stumptown Road in the area of Linda's church. So right there in that area where she was missing, you see this red vehicle, right? Yeah, with this description of a male in there. Now, now this is where it gets really interesting too, is that, so he's really close. They go into detail saying that he's only 15 to 20 yards from Stumptown Road. So he was able to, then the detective actually pulls open his laptop and shows Isaac these still images of video surveillance. So this is where we learn they have video surveillance of part of this incident, which is crucial evidence. Now, the video surveillance actually shows a red car pass on June 21st at 12:42 hours in that area, the 500 block of Beechdale Road. Okay, so keep in mind, right here, again, Beechdale Road, right in this area, passing through there. At the time Linda was missing, you keep hearing about this male and this red vehicle, right? We continue through here. Now, he was about 75% sure the vehicle in the video surveillance was the video he observed. Wasn't 100% sure, but obviously being honest, that's what he recounted in that incident. So that's detectives just note that it's never a for sure thing. They just go off of what the witness is saying, and they just continue to build that and write that in the reports, because no information is too small, really. I mean, even if it doesn't sync up, it's important to add the information. Sometimes witnesses can be wrong. They can get the wrong account of things, but they still put that in there anyway. And they can start to see patterns between these witnesses and the information that they're gathering, whether it's forensics, other forms of detective work with gathering data on phones and things like that. So this is really important, though, what we learned here in this video, because what we learned here is on 7/8 at 1300 hours, that's 1 p.m., they begin to really review this video surveillance. Okay, so they're slowing it down, they're enlarging it. They actually take it to an FBI regional computer forensics laboratory because the original video was not viewable. All right, now they actually are able to enlarge it and get more information. And this is what they see in the new enlarged video. They see that the driver, there's a vehicle, that red vehicle is traveling south on Beechdale Road at 12:42 hours. They see the driver's side windows down. There appears to be a white in color object toward the passenger side front seat of the vehicle as it passes. Okay, this vehicle was identified as a second generation between 2005 2010 Kia Rio, red in color. Now here's additional information that's important about that vehicle. It had a spoiler and it had stickers on the trunk. So very unique identifiers for that vehicle. And that's part of the reason they were able to help identify what this vehicle was, who it belonged to. All right, so they actually conduct a record check on that vehicle. They have the plate. They learn that this vehicle and this is on July 8th, they learned that the vehicle is owned by Justo Smoker. This is where he comes into play now, right? We've got the vehicle. We've got that vehicle being in the area at the time of her disappearance. Now it's starting to come together a little bit more as they continue to dig. So on July 8th at 2:45 p.m., it's 14:45 hours. They now you've got this East Lampeter Township Police Department. They travel to this location called Dutchland Inc. Okay, and it's where the vehicle was. It was in a parking lot. They observed it. They noted that the color, wheels, spoiler, and identifying stickers on the back of the car appeared to be the same. Okay, so and the reason they're in this parking lot, just if I didn't mention it already, this is where Justo worked. Okay, so they actually start surveilling the vehicle. They're watching it at this point. They're waiting for somebody to get in the vehicle and leave. And so what they see in that parking lot that day at 17:25 hours, that's 5:25 p.m., they see the vehicle start to drive off. They see it going into different areas, and they learned that it arrives at the listed address of 3250 Lincoln Highway in Paradise, Pennsylvania. Okay, this is where Justo had a listed address. Okay, he was also in a few other places that they noted. Not as important, but they did figure out where Justo lived. So they then do a public check on the Pennsylvania driver's license photograph of Justo. This photograph appears to be a Hispanic male with black hair, mustache, and a beard. Very similar description to what witnesses were saying. So they're obviously very curious to speak with Justo. So on July 9th at 5:53 p.m., they then speak with Justo, okay, at his residence. And they again note that he had the darker hair along with the mustache and beard, similar description. They interview him, and Justo reports that he did not know Linda Stoltzfoos and said he could not provide any information about her disappearance. He then goes on to say that he was not in the area of Beechdale or Stumptown Road on June 21st. Okay, this is really important now. He gives him his cell phone number, literally gives him his cell phone number, said that's where he lived, gave the address of where he stays. And once they gather that, investigators start doing a timeline now, detailing the disappearance of Linda. So this is where it continues to get very interesting. So to show you real quick the vehicle that we're talking about here, this is the vehicle, and I found this from another site here. Very unique. Okay, you can see the color, kind of a reddish orange Kia. It's got the spoiler here. Very, very unique. So it definitely would stick out. Plate, all of that is matching to Justo, right? So just to give you an idea of what the vehicle looks like there. Now, also, the area that witnesses saw possibly Linda with this male in this red vehicle is right over here. You've got this Amish Road, Buena Vista Road, and it's not far from Bird in Hand. So this is Bird in Hand right here. But it's odd that all of a sudden, so Linda, she's supposed to be walking home, right? All of a sudden, people are seeing a very similar description of Linda out here. So not a good sign, right? We continue to learn more about this, and we're going to continue to get more into details here. So stick with me on this. All right, if you followed me this far, again, consider subscribing to my channel. All right, definitely going to have more updates on this case and other cases as we go. So let's continue on through this here. Now on this timeline, okay, they start to see that the red Kia Rio was on the road where Linda went missing during the time period Linda went missing. So what they do is they really focus on that video. All right, and so on July 10th, they again slow it down, they enlarge it, and they watch this video, and it gives even more information, additional information in this case. This is what they see now. They observe a vehicle traveling south on that Beechdale Road. They actually see it pull off on the west side of the road and out of camera view, okay? And this is about 12:36 hours. I mean, they have it pinpointed to the timestamp in 53 seconds, right? So they see what appears to be a lone person walking on Beechdale Road. wearing white at 12:40 hours and 50 seconds. Okay. They then see the person walking south on the east side of Beachdale Road, which would be the direction that Linda would have been walking home at the time. Now, they see a second unknown person appear in the camera view, all right, from where the vehicle pulled off. So they observe this person crossing on foot from the west side of the Beachdale Road and toward the person wearing white at 12:41 hours and 18 seconds, okay? Very brief interaction between two people. You then see the two people walk back across, okay, back towards the car, essentially. And you then see in that same area, where the vehicle's pulled off, you then see it driving off out of the camera view at 12:41 hours. So it pulls out from the same area, and you can see two people. Okay, you can see two people essentially walking to that vehicle. So what it sounds like based on this description is you see someone get out of the vehicle, the red Kia, cross the street, and don't know exactly what the interaction was. Could have been a ruse. If you're familiar with other cases like serial killer cases and all that, Ted Bundy was known for using a ruse. You know, he put himself in a fake cast and say that he needed help to his car and things like that. Don't know exactly what was said. Justo could have maybe done a little homework on Linda, found out that who her family was, where she was, maybe said something like, "Hey, I need to take you to your family right now." Don't know exactly what occurred there, but we know that this woman, matching Linda's description, walks with this person back to the vehicle, and they drive off. They see the vehicle turn right out of the lane, travels on Beachdale Road toward the camera position, and drives past the camera. This is where they observe that it was a red four-door Kia Rio with black trim, a rear spoiler, and here's a really important tip or clue that I learned here in this was the letters LCM emblem. It was an emblem or sticker on the left rear trunk area. That's huge right there. Little identifiers like that make it so that you can, there are thousands of Kia Rios out there, right? But when you have those very specifics, like the stickers, the spoiler, the color, these identifying factors that go along with it, that helps investigators. Now, they're going off of a lot of circumstantial evidence here. They do not, to this day, know where Linda is, and they are developing a case. They have arrested Justo for this, but they continue to locate her, and we'll talk about those locations here in a minute as well. Now, really, really interesting information moving forward here on this. 6/23, going back to, this is 2 days after the disappearance of Linda. They, a trooper had responded to 3104 Harvest Drive. This is really important in the case here because there was a report of a suspicious vehicle. It was a red Kia. They gave the plate, same plate that matches Justo, right? And this person, Jonathan Stoltzfoos, has reported seeing the suspicious vehicle. It parks to the rear of this business. He sees the vehicle enter the property at about 5 p.m. Sole occupant, all right? Described as a dark-skinned male with some facial hair, possibly Hispanic, 20s to 30s. Basically going around this building, looking into windows, looking into doors before leaving. And then all of a sudden it returns, okay? So it was like he was scoping out this area, making sure it was safe for him to come back. He comes back, and he backs the vehicle in the same parking space next to these railroad tracks. This is really important information here because we learn some heartbreaking information, and I'm just going to be honest here. So this is what we're going to learn here. The vehicle then basically, it's parked next to these railroad tracks. You see the vehicle left the property before the trooper could actually make contact, but apparently the reporting parties, Jonathan, who observed the suspicious vehicle, he did take photos inside of the vehicle. So don't know what that information revealed, but I think that's pretty important information that could be gathered from photos inside that vehicle at that time. Now, this is the information that's a little unsettling. This just kind of made the hairs on my back go up when I read through this part here in the affidavit. So on 7/10, July 10th, that same address, that business right there, a forensic search team ends up discovering a white in color, size 34B woman's bra and a pair of dark colored foot stockings knotted together and buried, okay, underground in a wooded area to the rear of the property. Okay, those articles of clothing were identified by members of Linda Stoltzfoos' family. They said that it was clothing as similar to what she wore on the day of her disappearance. So not good information to learn, obviously, as we continue to search for her. They say that the stockings would have been tied in a knot for her to carry as she walked barefoot home. And this remote wooded area was about 3 miles from the area of Linda's disappearance. Okay, so to show you some context in that here, this is the business we're talking about. You've got this wooded area here, and I'll just zoom in a little bit here. So, you know, he's parked somewhere around here, and you've got the railroad tracks right here, and you've got this wooded area. So somewhere in this wooded area, they located this information, right? These articles of clothing. And again, as we continue through the arrest affidavit, you can see how all this information is stacking, right? Can you see how this leads investigators to make an arrest? Now, again, Justo still considered innocent, right? He has stated that he's innocent and it's going to go to trial. But investigators certainly did lock on certain information that led them to make this arrest. And I wanted to give you guys this information and, again, create more awareness as we continue to search for Linda as people are actively still searching. So a little bit more information I want to cover real quick here. This is about the end of the arrest affidavit. Now, the other thing I want to mention, though, that's really important is on July 10th, FBI agents were assisting, and they used cell phone records to show that the cell phone belonging to Justo was in the general area of that 3104 Harvest Drive address on, this is important, this was on June 21st between 14:32 hours and 15:35 hours, right? Really important. That's that hard to refute that kind of data, right? And that's what they're going off of, is a lot of this circumstantial evidence to make this arrest. So they then on 7/10 as well, they interviewed Justo again after he initially denied being in that area. He then reports that he did travel on back roads between that area and his residence at 3250 Lincoln Highway in Ronks, Pennsylvania. So another thing here, deception. Okay, investigators have honed in on deception, and you know how I feel about deception. Once investigators have some information that there was deception or inconsistencies in the story, they will hone in on that information, and that is very, very important to note right there. Now, they also get more information from him because he's talking with investigators. He said that he was the only driver and occupant of his vehicle on 6/21. That is really important for investigators to note, because often with other cases, people will try to blame somebody else. They'll say, "Oh, my friend was using my vehicle on that day," or a family member. I've got family members that use that vehicle all the time. I'm not the only one that use it. I let my friends use that all the time. They got him to say that he was the only driver and occupant of that vehicle. So that right there, very incriminating statement right there from Justo. Now, again, to this day of the writing of that affidavit, no family or friends have been able to interact with Linda since. So that's deeply concerning, obviously. So they've gathered the totality of all the evidence and believe that Linda was kidnapped by Justo and that she did not voluntarily go with him. So just too many disturbing events happening here, and I wanted to give you that detailed information on this case as it continues to develop here. So a couple things that I wanted to point out again before the end of this video here. The search continues, all right? They've really pinpointed it to a few different areas, and the investigators may be going off of phone data. Now, I've learned that they've been searching around the Welsh Mountains, the Welsh Mountain area. Just to give you context, you got Philadelphia, Harrisburg right here. So you got this mountainous region right here that they've been searching. And just to give you an idea of what this area might look like, I've got some photos here showing it. this is more in the winter time, but yeah, it's a very difficult area for investigators to search. Obviously, there's just a lot, and they've been very systematic, as I've learned from this. They've put in a lot of time. I think they've searched. It'll say in here. They've been searching all day. With using special software, doing grid patterns, and they actually. I'm trying to find out the amount of coverage that they've covered so far. It actually mentioned in here. More than 25,000 acres have meticulously been combed over. So that's a lot. That's a lot of ground to cover in that area. And they continue to search. Now, if anybody has any information about that, I just want to put this out there again. She's still missing, as of June 21st. Very, very sad story, obviously. FBI's put a reward of $10,000 in the recovery of Linda. Now, she again is described as, she's 18 years old. She's got brown hair, blue eyes. She's about 5'10", 125 pounds, and she's still missing, you guys. So let me know your thoughts on this video, and let me know if there's anything else that you have found in this case. This is still going to be evolving, so if you have more information, add it to the comments. And we can continue to update this information as we learn about this case. One last thing I wanted to point out here about the suspect. Again, considered innocent until proven guilty, obviously. But we did learn some information about him that I last wanted to point out before the end of this video, is that he did have an extensive criminal history that stretched from 2005. He actually spent most of his adult life behind bars. He served 12 and a half years. He was actually given a sentence of 12 and a half years to 30 years in prison for a string of armed robberies in 2006. He was released February 28th of 2019. So not terribly long ago. And now he is the focal point of this missing person investigation. So again, this information doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it is important to dig into the past of an individual and see what their background was. He's obviously no stranger to the law. He does have a criminal background, but again, we don't know the entirety of this case until obviously he goes through the court system. But a lot of disturbing information there. So again, Dev with Crime Hive. We will see you in another video soon. Thanks.